Some demons only come out through prayer and fasting by Jay Wilburn. You're the only Southern Baptist exorcist I could find, Amanda Little said as she led Reverend Ira Nazar into her house. He stopped short of the stained carpet and let his eyes travel the walls and furniture. This looked like the before image of one of those house flipper shows. He didn't spy any roaches, but the evidence of their passing streaked the walls in filth, let's say. In filth. All right. Amanda said she's back in the bedroom and it's worse than the other times. Ira eyed the woman up and down. She looked young to be a mother of a teen. Maybe not in this town or this neighborhood, but definitely on average. A scream echoed out from one of the back hallways. Amanda winced and Ira felt sorry for all the judgment he'd passed on her in the house. Didn't matter how true it was, not in a situation like this. Didn't matter how true his judgments were, not in a situation like this. All right, continuing on. He shook his head and blinked a couple times as the scream finally petered out. How many other times? Well, I don't have a solid count, Pastor, Sir, Reverend. A few times before her father left and a bunch since. Were they related to trouble in the home? What do you mean, she asked, like ghosts or hauntings? Something crashed in the portion. Okay, I accidentally wrote potion because I left a letter out. Back in the portion of the house where the screams had originated. He couldn't tell if it was glass. Low, guttural laughing followed. No, ma'am, I mean, did the symptoms appear after you and her daddy fought or other stressful events? We fought a lot, so she would have been doing it all the time if that were it. You had her checked by the doctor, by chance? Amanda Little sighed. Listen, sir, Reverend Nazar, I get where you're going with this. We thought it was seizures or brain issues at first, but what? Time's wasting, tell me. Mental illness doesn't make you levitate in your sleep, she said. Take me to her, Ira ordered. The young woman led him through a maze of interconnecting rooms that made no sense. Windows were boarded over even when the glass was intact. Light showed between boards, making him think that much of this house was unpermitted additions that were mostly plywood and tin. Amanda opened the door to the bedroom and stepped back. Ira had almost gotten used to the smell until this door opened. He covered his mouth as he entered and then dropped his hand away as he looked into the twisted face of the young girl standing on the bed. Streaks of blood, let's say thick blood. Streaks of thick blood covered her face in soiled nightgown clothes. A trio of books sailed across the room and put a hole in the thin walling next to Reverend Nazar's head. All right, let me do a quick fix on a word here. Next to Reverend Nazar's head. Maisie, please, Amanda whispered from a step behind him in the hall. Maisie isn't here, you poopy head. Let me put a comma there. Ira narrowed his eyes. Poopy head, really? The girl backed into the corner and climbed backward up the wall until she pressed into the corner of the cheap ceiling like a lurking spider. Oh, not again, the girl's mother breathed. Yes, not mental illness, Ira said. He raised his voice in his empty hands and shouted at the thing inside Maisie. I'm going to be telling you to come on out. You can put up a fuss about it, but we both know you're coming, so get ready to be evicted, whoever you are. You don't have your faith any longer, Father, so this will not end well for you. Amanda whimpered outside the bedroom. Ira dropped his hands and asked, What the hell do you mean by that? The girl crawled up onto the ceiling from the wall and stared down at him. Stuff dripped off of her as she said, What do you mean? Which part? The stuff about me losing my faith. I still have my faith. Where are you getting that from? The girl shrugged and said, I don't know. I was just guessing. It was worth a try. Well then, in the name of Jesus and the holy... Wait. Maisie lowered a couple feet and floated in the air. What now? Ira asked. Surprise, poopy head. She flew at him, but he swatted her aside, putting another large hole in the wall. Amanda screamed and covered her mouth with both hands. Close the door, the pastor ordered. Amanda stopped screaming, but did not move to deal with the door. Trophies spun through the air and shattered against another wall as Ira sidestepped away from them. He stumbled and fell to his butt on the carpet. His hand pressed into a wet, sticky patch on the soft floor. He groaned and scrambled to his feet, more concerned about what he'd put his hand in than what was possessing the girl. She flew at him again, and he flipped her over onto the bed. "Don't hurt her, please," Amanda called from the hall. "Close the door." The wind ripped through the room in a contained twister. Ira felt the grit from every surface peppering his lips and eyes. He feared he was going to get... Hold on, let me fix a word here. He feared he was going to be possessed by some germ worse than this demon could ever be. A pane of glass popped out from one of the boarded windows. The gaps in the plywood walls widened to harsh slashes of brutal afternoon sun. "Can you save her?" the mother cried over the wind. "Close the door, woman. Listen, if you could wrap this up before the neighbors know something is going on. They love to gossip about me, and close the damn door." Amanda finally complied and cried out all the way back through the house. Maisie rose over the bed and showed her discolored teeth. When Ira was sure the mother was out of earshot, he turned on the levitating girl. "Chester, is that you, you asshole?" The wind died off, and the girl bounced on the bed as she dropped. "How could you have possibly known that, Ira? I used different voices and everything." "Poopy head?" Ira asked as he tried to brush the crumbs of filth away from his face. "I don't know," Chester the demon said with Maisie Little's mouth. "I was trying something new. Demons are always cussing up a storm. You can hear all that stuff on TV now, even during the day. I thought going the other way would be more unnerving." Let me fix something here. You know, defying expectations and all. "Why did you cut up her face? What's wrong with you?" Maisie paused and then ran her fingers through the thick red stuff on one of her cheeks. "This is just strawberry jam. I put it on for drama." "What are you doing here, Chester? What do you want with this girl in this place?" Okay, hold on. Let me have... Ira rolled his eyes and spit something out from between his lips. Okay. "What are you doing here, Chester? What do you want with this girl in this place?" "Nothing in particular. You know what it's like for us wandering around without a body. We've talked about this before. So go to a nicer neighborhood," Ira said. "You can't like living this way." Maisie looked around and said, "Come on, Ira. You think the upper middle class wouldn't notice a kid being possessed? The way some kids act?" "That's a good point. Do you have any suggestions?" "Yeah, go find a body in another town far away from me." "Don't be like that, Ira. You know what it's like for us to try to move to new territory. Demons are mean even to other demons. Yeah, you don't like each other either." "Sure, so just go out there and tell her you sent me into some pigs or something, and I'll stay quiet so she doesn't catch on." "No dice, Chester. I came all this way and you're getting an exorcism. That just doesn't feel friendly, Ira. We go way back, because you won't stop possessing all the poor kids in town." Maisie shrugged and rolled her eyes in a very natural teenage fashion. "It's easier when they believe in all this stuff." "Well, you might be harder to kick out if you weren't so lazy, Chester." Maisie stared at the pastor with her eyes and mouth open wide. "How dare you? I'm as old as creation." That should be capitalized. Pardon me. Just hit the microphone there. Oh gosh, where was I? How dare you? I'm as old as creation, which would be capitalized in this context. You've only been here for the blink of an eye, and yet I know I'm going to beat you like every other time. Silence spread out between them. Finally, Ira stood over the girl and lifted his hands. In the name of Jesus, okay, be cool, I'll go. If you have an option that's acceptable to you and you'll leave me alone for a while, I'm all ears, preacher. Ira lowered his arms. Let me change the tense on this verb. All right. Ira lowered his arms. If he could get Chester somewhere that didn't involve him, if he could get Chester somewhere that didn't involve him having to deal with him, he wouldn't have to track through disaster zones like this. You okay, Ira? I'm thinking. Hold on. I could tell you where the other demons are hiding if that buys me any favor. Hold on. Ira finally snapped his fingers. How about the gerbil? Well, let me make this one solid sentence here. What? You know what I'm talking about, Ira said. That gerbil at the church. You could go into there. You think I want to be a gerbil, Ira? Better than this place, and all you want to do is stop wandering. I'll say all you really want to do is stop wandering. Will you keep me in your office? Why would you want to be in my office, Chester? I don't know. You could talk to me. I could do tricks. You could read out loud. It would pass the time, and you wouldn't have to keep kicking me out of your congregation all this time. Ira sighed and said, fine, we got a deal, but you go straight to the church and don't possess anyone else along the way. Maisie crossed her heart and said, you have my word. Ira rolled his eyes. That the day I take a demon's word. Fine, I'll do 3 backflips in my cage when you get there, and you'll know it's me. Okay, we have a deal then, Chester. And you'll move me into your office, sure. By a window where I can see out. Okay, and keep my cage clean, please. Chester, get out of that girl now or I'm casting you into the wastelands again. Maisie saluted Reverend Nezer and winked. Her eyes drifted closed and she flopped over on her mattress. After a couple seconds, she sat up and screamed, "What the hell are you doing in my room?" Casting out demons, Iris said. She squinted at him. He said, "Run on and tell your mother that you're fine now." She started to go, but he said, "Hold up." He looked around the room, but saw nothing that served his purpose. So he told her, "Tell your mom to wipe that stuff off your face. Tell her it's just strawberry jam." She ran her fingers through it and ate a bite. The girl made a face, but then left the room. That jam was probably spoiled. All right. Ira followed her out through the maze of dark and dirty hallways. He took out his phone and searched where he could buy more gerbil food and a stronger cage.